Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. So, people always ask me, alright Tyler, I love the UFO sightings, there's definitely something going on here. And so they ask me, what would be one of your top UFO sightings or incidents that you could tell me about that would prove to me that these craft are out there, that they exist without a shadow of a doubt? And, well, today I'm going to talk to you guys about one of those very specific cases, one of my favorites, that it's just mind-blowing all around. So, before we get to that, first, I have some other information, some updates to give to you guys. If you guys have been following my last couple of videos, we've been talking about this mysterious sphere UFO that was seen above and near the San Gabriel Valley over Los Angeles this past August 28th. Where more than 5 people so far were able to get video footage of this strange, some would say metallic-looking sphere sitting in the skies over Los Angeles, where at one point, what appears to be an LA County Sheriff's Department helicopter actually flies in and circles the object twice. Today we have a new update and just a little bit more information about what happened here. The first piece of information is the radar tracking data of this police helicopter that yes indeed confirms that it was an LA County Sheriff's helicopter. And you're seeing that here, and this was sent over to me by a Mr. Alex Crowley. And as you can see here, you can see clearly the path of this helicopter as it's originally going in the opposite direction, but then it's diverted. Okay, it's diverted to something strange happening in the sky. Obviously, it's going to take the time to check it out. And as you can see here, just as we saw in the video, the helicopter circles twice before finally leaving the area. So this gives us some further data proving that this was a legitimate sighting. The other update is that we have attempted to contact, as well as many other people, the LA County Sheriff's Department, who at this point are remaining silent about what this object was, what happened here, and that's really strange to me, because I would think that if it was something natural, say a drone, or a hot air balloon, or just something completely mundane, it would say, yeah, stop calling us, it was this, or it was that. We checked it out, it was nothing, and you guys can stop calling. But they're not doing that, and I don't understand why. And so that makes me a little suspicious. And it also makes me suspicious of when they finally do come out and say, well, hey, yeah, it was a drone, or it was this, or it was that. I'm going to have maybe a little bit more trouble believing them, and then I'm going to start to worry about a cover-up. Because when the police or the government starts to stall you in the very beginning, and then later on they come out and let you know that it was just something mundane, well, it's happened so many times before, and it reeks of cover-up. So yeah, only time will tell until we can find out what this object was, but I did want to give you guys an update to it, and if any of you have any more footage or info, be sure to send it my way. My email address is down below. Now, speaking of strange things happening in the sky, before we get to the main topic of today's video, I have to show you a new UFO clip that's just come into me, and it occurred over New York City this time. So all the way on the other side of the country, where a guy named Christopher was on his way home from work when he spotted a triangular formation in the sky. So go ahead and check this out. Okay, so pretty mysterious piece of footage here. You'll notice as the video first starts, it looks like he's pulled over and he's on a bridge, and we can clearly see in the sky is a triangular formation of lights. The formation never breaks. You know, like when you have maybe Chinese lanterns and stuff like that, you'll see these things floating all over the place. Sometimes they'll make formations, but no, this object, it sits in the same triangular formation. and I've put some contrast enhancement on this. And when I do that, when I put the contrast in, we notice another object that was previously in darkness. The brightness level, the exposure on the camera was too low, so it wouldn't pick it up. So instead of just having 3 triangular lights here, we actually have a 4th object which still holds position in this perfect triangular shape. Now, could this 4th object be a reflection off one of the lights? I'm not sure, but as the footage goes on, we see all of these lights at the base suddenly disappear, leaving us with the one final light, just, again, sitting static in the sky, not moving. And then the footage ends. It's something we've seen many times before. We can look back to the Black Manta, the TR-3B, which is notorious for having 3 lights on each corner, sometimes having a light in the center, but it could be something totally different. But as we saw in LA, we have another object sitting static in the sky, and the ones that sit static, and I mean completely still, those are the ones that you really want to look at, because you know that they're not being affected by the wind, the atmosphere, and so you can kind of rule out a balloon or a plane or a drone or something that would be affected by wind gusts and things of that nature. So big thanks to Christopher from New York City. If any of you guys saw this, you guys know where to send the footage. My email is down below. And so finally today, one of my favorite cases that many of you have probably never heard of, but that will shake many of you to the core when you actually get a full scope of what happened here. And the case I'm talking about has become known as the 1994 Trumbull County disturbance, where on the night of December 14th, 1994, in a small area called Trumbull County, Ohio, just after midnight, the local 911 center was flooded, completely overloaded, with 911 calls from people reporting sightings of massive, low-flying UFOs in the area. The majority of these calls were heard by the dispatcher that night, Roy Ann Rudolph. Now, before we go any further, let's go ahead and play a short clip of some of the original 911 calls that were recorded from that night.
Okay. Well, we got back into like one of them fighter planes, like the plane coming out the back.
Okay. Was it just like moving at a slow rate of speed?
Well, it was slowly, it was fastly, but it was coming down.
It was coming down?
Yeah.
Like straight down or at an angle?
Like an angle.
At an angle? Okay.
It was a little freaking, in the back.
Okay.
Plane.
Alright. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll check with the air base in Miami and see if they have any report of anything in the area.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. 996. We have a report by CC, actually 2 calls in of a vehicle in the sky, unknown object above Sampson Drive. Have you noticed anything?
Okay, so what you just heard is a short clip that comes from a compilation of 911 calls from this incident that span over an hour long, all having to do with this incident. And so these reports were coming in, flooding the 911 center, with most reports describing a fast-moving, unknown object and or lights that seemed to be descending on the area. Now, of course, originally the 911 operators thought that it was just a joke. Maybe the callers had seen a balloon, a plane, a helicopter, what have you. But because of this massive number of phone calls, Mrs. Rudolph decided to notify the local police officers of Liberty Township. And that's when things started to get strange. Sergeant Toby Malero was the first officer on the scene, and as he proceeded down Sampson Drive to check out the lights, he was informed by a man on the street that the lights were moving south. And so as the officer continued heading towards the area of the UFO, suddenly his cruiser and all of his electronics went completely dead. As he then attempted to restart his vehicle, he was suddenly engulfed by a bright light from above. At this point, the officer tried to radio for help, but even his CB radio was completely dead. Officer Malero emerged from his cruiser and watched this massive silent craft above him, where after a short time, the unknown object slowly moved away and his car suddenly came back to life. And so after collecting his thoughts, he phoned Mrs. Rudolph to explain what he had seen. He described it as an immense circular craft about the size of a football field, with an intense bright light in the center. He had to shield his eyes with his hand to get a decent look at it. He said there were other colors visible as well. So at this point, the officers continued to at least attempt to follow the craft. Meanwhile, 911 calls are still coming in. That night, approximately 14 police and sheriffs in Trumbull County saw the craft and attempted to give chase before the lights finally headed east towards the Pennsylvania border before finally taking off at an incredible speed, vanishing out of sight, never to be seen again. And so what I love about this sighting is that not only do we have an hour's worth of 911 calls, hundreds of people witnessed this low-flying, football field-sized craft, but we have multiple police officers who witnessed the object, chased it, and one who came in direct contact with it, having his cruiser completely shut down. What we also know is that the dispatch center called the FAA, and not long after the sightings, it was confirmed that there was no object on radar in the area. NASA was also contacted about the incident, but again, there was no explanation. Rumors of top-secret military aircraft from Youngstown Station still circulate to this day, but many from Trumbull County will tell you that this object, it didn't seem man-made, and it didn't act like it was simply a test by the military. Thanks again, guys, for stopping by today. Be sure to stay tuned and subscribe because I've got a lot more coming, and if you have your own UFO sighting video or footage, my email address is down below. So stay safe, stay tuned, and I'll see you all back in just a bit.